Good morning, students. Today I am going to revise with you the topic abolition of slavery from the lesson French Revolution. When the Jacobins they ruled over the France, they introduced, or that is the one of the most revolutionary reform by them was the abolition of slavery in the French colonies. These French people, they had their colonies in the Caribbean, which were the important suppliers of the commodities such as indigo, tobacco, sugar and coffee. But who will work in these plantations? As the Europeans were reluctant to go to the distant land, unfamiliar land, and to work over there. So who will work in these plantations? So this requirement to work in the plantation was met by a triangular slave trade between the Europe, Africa and the America. This led to the beginning of slave trade in the 17th century. Now, French merchants, they sailed from the ports of the Bordeaux or Nantes to the African coast, where they bought slaves from the local chieftains and were packed tightly into the ships for 3 months long voyage across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. There they were sold to the plantation owners. Now these plantation owners, they exploited them, and the exploitation of the slave labor made it possible to meet the growing demand in the European markets for sugar, coffee and indigo. Now the port cities of Bordeaux and Nantes, their economic prosperity was dependent on the flourishing slave trade. So throughout the 18th century, there was little criticism of slavery in France. It was finally in the convention which in 1794 legislated to free all the slaves in the French overseas possession. Why it was not before? Because the National Assembly, which was comprised of the rich people, big businessmen, this assembly had the debates over it, but they were not interested because of the fear of opposition from this rich business class or the wealthy people, because their trade, their business was dependent on the flourishing slave trade. So no law was passed. It was only in the convention 1794. But what happened that now when this period was going on, the measures taken by the government was only for short period. It was that after 10 years, when the Napoleon Bonaparte came to power, Napoleon reintroduced slavery in France. Now the plantations owner, they thought that their right to enslave the people to work in the plantations, and particularly from Africa, they were the Negroes. Now the Negroes, it is a term which is used for the indigenous people of Africa, those were living south of Sahara, but it is a derogatory term which is not now common in use. So finally it was in the France, the slavery came to an end in the 1848. Next, I will be continuing in the next topic, the life of the people in everyday and the role of the Napoleon in France. Thank you.